Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Robert, and I'm here with my colleague Brad from the Zedong's product team to talk about the analytics module.
Hi, nice to meet you all.
Well, before we start, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's webinar. First of all, you can submit your questions in the chat box on the right-hand side, and if we have time, we will answer them during the session. Otherwise, please send them to our support email address. This webinar is recorded and will be uploaded to Zedongpedia, our knowledge base. Recordings can be replayed at a slower or faster playback speed with closed captions enabled. Great. Well, I will now hand it over to Brad.
I'm excited to walk you through our analytics module in greater detail today, something we built with you in mind. This tool is a result of client feedback, insights from our staff members, all of whom have worked in roles across the fashion industry, and the reports that you run on a daily and weekly basis. It's designed to give you a clearer visibility into your day-to-day operations and a health check, whether you're tracking gross profit, analysing sales data by product or territory, reviewing how much stock you have on hand, or if there are any pro formas or invoices that haven't been paid. My personal favourite is to spot an issue before it becomes a real problem, for example, shipping an order before the cancellation date. This module is not just about the numbers. It's visual, intuitive, and built to save you time. There's 9 key dashboards in the module, and I'll walk you through them now while showing you some of the core functionality of the tool. Let's jump straight in. Collection overview. This dashboard focuses on product costing data in Zedong, giving you a quick but detailed snapshot of how your collection is shaping up. In the top left-hand corner, we have a grid. This shows you gross profit information and any minimums. In the top right-hand corner, we have some key metrics, like the number of styles, RRP, and wholesale averages. Just below that, you can see we've gone very visual. We have a mixture of pie charts and funnel charts showing you some key information. This covers things like size category, product types, fabric, colours, country of origin, and your manufacturers. Moving into the middle of the screen, we have what we call some health check. These allow you to look at where some missing data might be in the system, which will allow you to correct any gaps before they actually become any issues. Moving down to the bottom of the chart, we have a big grid. This is run off of the gross profit report in Zedong, which gives you all of the key information in some of the widgets up above. Let's go and focus on one of the widgets. If we go and look at our color pie chart, and if I hover over some of the data, I can see that 13.6% of my collection is black. This allows me to make sure that I have the right mix. Now, all of these widgets are expandable to look at them in more data. And if I hover over any of the widgets, it will give me the data. Now, all of these are also exportable to Excel. Let's move back and on to the next one. Collection performance. This dashboard is all about tracking the performance of your collection once it hits the market. In the top left-hand corner, we have some key sales metrics, such as sold styles, styles not sold, what my weighted average is in both RRP, and also what my cost price is. Moving over to the right-hand side of the screen, we have a bestseller grid here, which is based on the bestseller report. If we move down, we have some analysis that we can do. All of these widgets show both values and quantities. And if we move further down, we see product minimums and collection cost summaries. If we go and look at one of these visual widgets, as I mentioned, it shows both value and quantity. If I hover over and just expand one of the widgets, and I look at the leatherware, for example, I can see that the total value of sales for this is 56,149 units. If I click onto the actual data, I now have a drill down option. This allows me to actually see the styles that have actually created this data. Now, by looking at all of this, it allows me to make sure that my performance is where I assume it would be. And it can also allow me to make informed decisions on any future collections, looking at trends, which colours are popular, what fabrics don't work and do work. Basically give me a nice informed decision and information on how to moving forward. Sales order overview. This dashboard focuses on the sales order data, specifically at customers. Now, in the top left-hand corner, we can see some key sales metrics, such as the number of sales orders that have been placed and the value after discount. Moving over to the right-hand side, we can see the donut widgets. This allows you to perform analysis to make sure that your sales are in the right kind of mix. making sure that you're not too heavy on a certain payment terms, which may cause some cash flow issues. If we move down, we can see some additional widgets looking at the account managers, the order type, and the price list in Zedonk. Moving over to the left-hand side, we can see a territory, country, and customer grid. Moving into the middle, we can see the very visual map, which looks at the sales by country. Now, if I hover over the Australia, for example, we can see a 17.71 worth of sales. Now, if we go and drill into one of these widgets, we're going to look specifically at this time of the donut of the shipping terms. If I hover over this value, I can see that I'm offering just over £400,000 worth of sales in the X-Works terms. If I then click on this data, I can then drill into it. I can then see a bit more information. And if I hover over, I can see that in United Kingdom, I'm offering just over £100,000 worth of sales with these terms. If I click on this, I can also then drill in and actually see some customer and some sales order data. Now, one thing we haven't gone through on this demo so far is to show you the filtering options in Zedonk. Now, look, these all run off of main reports, but the really nice one on the sales order overview piece of information is that I can run it across multiple seasons if I want to. So I may also want to compare spring summer 25 compared to my spring summer 18 just to see some analysis. And if I click apply, you can see how quick the widgets recalculate. Now, there was one widget I didn't focus on in the bottom right hand corner, which is your season on season comparison, which basically shows me how I got on in spring summer 18 compared to this season. And in this example, we can see it's not that great. I've actually gone down in terms of sales. Now, moving back into the filter options, Zedonk has a functionality, as we all know, to do consignment, retail, and wholesale orders. So this dashboard allows me to isolate certain types of sales orders to have a little look at. Sales order, fulfillment. This dashboard focuses on sales order data, specifically in the fulfillment area, looking at the balanced, shipped, delivery note, picked, allocated quantities. If we look on the left-hand side, we can see some key metrics, such as how many sales orders are in the season, how many are open, completed, and false closed. You can see that the tool gives you a color stopper. Moving on to the right-hand side of the screen, we can see some horizontal bar charts. These bar charts look at both quantities and value because we understand that every business works in a different way, or you may want to look at both the metrics. If we move down the dashboard, we can once again see some health widgets in the middle, which is great. It just shows me when some textile composition might be empty, whether my mid-code are HTOs, which would cause some issues when I come to shipping. In the right-hand side, we can see a full list and the breakdown of the open orders. And on the left-hand side, one of my personal favorite widgets is it basically tells me of any orders that still have a balance to ship when it's gone past the cancel date, and I can drill into this information. If we go and focus on one of the widgets in the top, we can go and expand this quite significantly. So here I can see basically an overview. We've taken inspiration from the ready to ship report and the balance to ship report and put all this information into one place. Now, one thing to mention here is all of this information is not only exportable to Excel, but it also can have PDF prints out. This basically is a great way to give this information in meetings in a very visual way. If you want to drill into the information, you simply click on a certain section. You click the drill down information. I can then drill down into specific customers, and then I can then also drill down into the order number and go into the product ID. So there's a great level of detail in these widgets that I'm showing you here on this screen. Material, purchase orders. This dashboard focuses on raw materials, specifically on purchase order data. If we look to the left-hand side, we can see some key metrics, such as how many purchase orders and raw materials are within them. This screen works really well from left to right, because basically on the left-hand side, you can see what you've initially bought. Moving over to the right-hand side, you can see whether they've been confirmed, what the status is, and where you're currently sitting. Now, moving back to the left-hand side, we can actually see some data about those purchase orders, whether I've force closed any of them. I can also see specific raw material data to see what is pending. If I look into the middle, I can see one of the world charts to see where my raw materials by country are located. Moving into the middle, we can see a PO overview and a PO status bar chart. And moving over to the bottom right-hand corner, I can see who my top suppliers are, and also, most importantly, what payment terms I've agreed with them. We can also see more data about the pending raw materials. So if I click over here, you can see that I have a pending raw material, and once again, I can have a drill down option. Moving back into the middle, one of my personal favorites is the PO status. Basically, it gives me a really great snapshot instantly to see what's outstanding, what work do I need to chase, and where am I sitting so I can communicate to my further teams. Material, inventory. This dashboard focuses on raw material information, specifically the inventory. Now, Zedonk has the ability to both have a main inventory and a manufacturer inventory. Now, this screen should be considered that it's split down the middle. Now, we have the usual key metrics for both pieces of information. We have some funnel widgets. Moving down, we have some pie charts to show some information. One of the key ones being, what's my closing stock value? Now, if we're moving back into the middle, we have the usual health widgets. We have an inventory movement dedicated widget. We also, if you're utilizing the closing stock alert and the projected stock alert functionality, it would also give you a count here. Now, one thing we are going to focus on here is the health widget. Now, these widgets don't actually specifically give you the information. It's just an indication that you need to go and do something. So if we look at this one, for example, it says I've got a negative closing stock of 9 in my main inventory. So I'm going to go and have a little look at this. So if I jump back into Zedonk, I go into my raw material area, I make sure I'm in the main inventory. Moving over to the right hand side, we have a closing stock figure, and I can straight away see, because it's highlighted in red, the 9 products that I have a negative closing stock figure. Now, this is worthwhile me investigating, because in real life, I shouldn't ever be able to have a negative closing stock figure. Product, production orders. This dashboard focuses on product data, specifically production orders. It works in a similar way to a previous dashboard, from left to right. On the left, you can see your initial production order, number of products, quantities, and production costs. We can then see some status updates on those production orders. Moving further to the right-hand side, we can see an overview. And on the far right-hand side, we can see what's actually pending. So this is a need for action. If we look at the pending section, I can actually see the data about what is pending. So if I look at this specific widget, I can see that my manufacturer 5 has 64% of their production order outstanding. I could then drill in further and see some actual product information about that. Moving down the screen, we can actually see some great widgets for analysis. I can see what my payment terms have been agreed, what my type, my category, and my customs type. I can also see who my top manufacturer is, and I can also start getting some warnings that some products are going to be late according to the cancel date. We also have the usual world map in the middle of the screen just to make sure that my products are being produced in the countries I really want. Specifically focusing here on the outstanding linked SO quantity health widget, this is a great indication to show you that there is some sales orders that are in the system that are linked to production orders, but the quantity on the production order doesn't meet the sales order quantity. Now, this might be intended because you may have had the inventory module and you may have been sitting on some stock, but it's a great need for action. Moving back, we can look into a collection overview. We can drill in to the manufacturer or the docket information. Product, inventory. This dashboard focuses on product inventory information. We've got the usual key metrics across the top looking at both quantity and cost values. In the middle here, if you have the multi-location functionality switched on in Zedonk, I can see the quantity split between my locations. In this example, I've got wholesale and e-com, which could either be virtual or physical locations within the Spring Summer 25 season. On the far right-hand side, I have some high stock widgets, both looking at closing and available. Got my usual health widgets in the middle. Moving down, we can perform some analysis on the data. I could look at whether I'm heavy on the men's or the women's, whether I've got more shoes than dresses, just from a very simple snapshot point of view. And further down, I can actually see the data that creates the quantity for both the closing and the available to sell. If I very simply click on this expand button, I can see where the stock is located and also what the cost, wholesale, and RRP value is. Moving back up, looking at the stock status, this gives us a really great overview on where we are. I can see what production is outstanding, what in transits haven't yet been received, what my closing stock, my pit tickets, and delivery notes, whether they're being shipped or unshipped. One of the really great things as well, as always, is I can go into my filter and I can actually run this analysis for more than one season. So I'm selecting multiple seasons here, and you'll see very quickly that the widgets will calculate. So very snapshot point of view, I can see I have 10,000 units in stock with 622,000 in value. Costs and revenue. This dashboard focuses on cost and revenue data in the system. This falls under sales orders, production orders, and purchase orders. The widgets at the top of the page look at invoice data. This can be broken down into by customer or by month. Moving down the screen on the left-hand side, we have some widgets that are dedicated to whether invoices or pro formas have been paid. If they haven't been paid, it tells you what the value is and who the customer is. On the right-hand side of the screen, we can show you some sales order information, split down by currency or price list. We also have a widget that is dedicated to the dreaded credit notes and whether it's been applied. And we also can show you whether any customers are on hold in the system. Moving down the screen, we have some widgets that are dedicated to the production and purchase order information, whether it's by manufacturer or supplier, or you want to look at it by currency. As always, with all of our dashboards, we can run these across multiple seasons. I'm going to apply 2 new seasons to this filter, and I can basically see in a very quick snapshot how I'm performing, whether I'm really well invoiced for the season, whether my sales were where they're supposed to be, whether my manufacturer at the bottom is performing as well as they have in previous seasons. If we go and look at the invoice breakdown by customer, I think this is a great one for an overview. It tells you what your cost of goods are, what your profit after discount, what your transport charge, and what your sales tax should be. It's just a great way of seeing the information from a snapshot point of view. All the widgets here also give you some work to do, as in you can chase the invoices that are overdue, but you can also see the great analysis that you can see it on either a single basis or across multiple seasons.
Thanks, Brad. Well, that was really, really helpful. To recap, the module was developed to help you get the most out of Zedong and the data you input. Each dashboard is designed to save you time, prevent errors, improve efficiency, and ensure you and your team are most productive and your business is most profitable. The analytics module will allow you to look at the data from a different angle as you gain insight on your orders, production, and inventory management.
As you can see, we really do believe in the analytics module and how it can help you as a business. So if you're interested in the analytics tool, we're currently running a promotion that will give you 50% off the full price for the first year. The code is analytics50. That is analytics50 to enjoy 50% off the price for the first year, which means it's only £200, which is less than the cost of one mistake in your system.
Excellent. Well, that's really, really exciting. And that's everything we have for you today. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you, Brad, for giving the presentation. But for now, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you soon.